Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. The observant among you, during the introduction music, may well have noticed that there was an additional instrument added to the tune. I wonder if you spotted that. And I wonder also if you could identify what the extra instrument was that was added to that music at the start of the show. But also notice we also have the Christmas background. Yes, because it is the first day of Advent, we are going to be using this Christmas background for the whole of December, and we will have the, let's just say, adjusted theme tune music. No, it was not cowbell, but that's very funny, Kyle. No, not cowbell. Think something a little bit more seasonal, and I'll play it again and see if you can hear it. You hear it yet? There you go. Yes, we have sleigh bells. Brian Torrance with the correct answer. Sleigh bells. Because it's Christmas. Why not? Sleigh bells. Thank you, Presonus and Splice, for the Splice integration into Studio One, which meant it was very easy for me to just type into the search string sleigh bells, and hey ho, I had a whole bunch of sleigh bells samples to choose from, and I chose this one, synced it to the tempo. Bernard's your auntie, Jeff's your uncle, and there we were. And then it was just a case of just balancing it with the rest of the mix. Easy peasy. Sleigh bells added to modal jazz. Why the heck not? Anyway, so we are heading into the sleigh bells, says Kyle. See, that would be great if this was a metal channel and I had like really, really long hair and had all sorts of tattoos and things. Then yes, it would be sleigh bells. But no, it would even be Slayer bells. But no, we're not doing sleigh bells. It's sleigh bells. Slightly different. So yeah, so we're going to be kind of Christmas themed. I do have a tree, which is kind of down there. It's needing some decorations. It does have lights. It's just that the batteries are dead, so I couldn't get the lights working. Otherwise, it would be lit up, and I would park it somewhere where you can actually see the darn thing, like maybe on the desk up here. But yeah, no batteries. So I need to get that sorted out and put some further decorations on it, and then it'll be good to go. So that'll be happening before the show on next week. Remember, Wednesday, there is no show on Wednesday because I will be in Hamburg. So yeah, so there won't be a show, unfortunately. But I'm really looking forward to going. It's going to be cold, I have been told. I've been told it is very cold and somewhat icy over there already. But I'm still looking forward to going. I don't like ice. I have no sense of balance at the best of times. So if there is ice on the ground, I am guaranteed to fall over. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to the ice part of it, but certainly looking forward to going over there to the Persona software team and spending a couple of days with them working on some very, very cool things, which I can't talk about. But you will get to see them eventually. Eventually, you'll get to see the very, very cool things I have been working on with the software team. It's all very exciting. All right, so who do we have here? Apologies, folks, for the lack of advertising for the show. This evening, after dinner time, we had basically water pouring from the bathroom, which is just next door, into the kitchen downstairs. And we have finally stopped, for the most part, the flow. It's not now pouring anymore, and we've mopped up all the water. So what we're left with now is it's just dripping a little bit from the ceiling in the kitchen, and we've got buckets and things down there to stop it dripping, or rather to catch the drips until all the water is kind of flowed through the cavities, and then it's going to be a mission to dry the house out, basically. So, yeah, it's going to be an expensive Christmas, let's just say that. We do have house insurance, so the insurance policy will cover pretty much all of it. We'll have to pay some excess because there's always an excess charge, so we'll have to pay that. So it's still going to be expensive, but it's not going to be anywhere near as expensive if we had no insurance. If we had no insurance, this would be, you know, £20,000-30,000 worth of damage, probably. But the insurance policy will cover it all, so we're good. We just have to pay the excess, which is still expensive enough. I don't want to say how expensive because I've already had to use the defibrillator once today. I don't want to have to use it again. So Kyle was the first in the door. Thank you, Kyle. Followed literally 1 minute later by who was next? I'm not actually scrolled up to the top. Oh, the chat's done that thing, hasn't it? Where it's actually deleted people off the chat. I can see Kyle and I can see somebody else. Dwayne, I think is Dwayne next, I think. Then Stephen, then Rich is here, Brian Torrance is here, Caleb Hawkins is here, Dwayne, I've mentioned you already. W5 family are here. Don Oliver is also here. Juan is here. Billy, it was Billy, okay. It was Billy who was literally a minute behind. Yeah, that's weird. The chat for me has a gap. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that. At the very top of it, if you put it into live chat mode, at the very top, I can't see who was second. I can see there's a gap there. So I've got Kyle, then there's a gap, and then it's Dwayne. So it's Billy who is second. Okay, so Billy is here as well. And there's also Keith here too, which is awesome. I just spied Keith. There we go. Hang on, let me try refreshing this and see if that populates. 1 second. Okay. Okay, refreshing did the job. I can see Keith now. That's weird. That is so weird that the chat has done that, where basically there's a gap where names should be and they're not there. So that was weird. But it's fixed now. I just refreshed the chat and it's all sorted. Put it back into live chat mode and everybody is there. So there we go. Yeah, so Billy was number 2 by 1 minute. He was 1 minute behind Kyle. So yeah, so that's probably why we're slightly lower on numbers, because I didn't get a chance to put out proper ads, unfortunately, because I've spent the entire evening after dinner trying to clear up mess and water and all of that and assess damage and call the insurance company and get all of that sorted out. So, Yeah, Kyle says YouTube chat seems to be fudged on Edge. Well, I'm not using Edge, I'm using Chrome, and normally it's very, very good on Chrome. So I don't know about Edge, because I actually don't use Edge very much. Kyle says he pushed out the show where he could. Thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate that. I appreciate your help. So, yes, I am a little bit flustered. Sorry, folks. Because it's been an absolute stinker of an evening. So I've got the plumber coming tomorrow, and they are going to try and figure out what caused the issue, and hopefully figure out how it's going to get fixed, and when it's going to get fixed, and how long the bathroom is going to be out of action for, because it's not going to be fun having an out of action bathroom whilst we figured out what caused all the water to flood through. So something is broken somewhere, we just don't know where. But that said, the bathroom next door is now dried out for the most part, and it's just a kitchen downstairs where it's mostly dried out, but there's still some water slowly dripping through the roof. So it's a bit of a problem. All right, so we are on Studio One mode. It wasn't the kids thing. I was actually just trying to keep that. Yes, well, we don't know. We thought it was. We thought it might be. We thought it might be a case of one of the kids just left one of the taps on in the sink, and then the sink overflowed. So, but we don't know. We're not 100% certain. We thought that might be the case, but we're not actually 100% certain now. So anyway, Eric is here as well. Hello, Eric. Good to see you. Glad you're here. So yeah, we are in Studio One mode because it's Sunday and we do Studio One questions on Sundays. So, but we also take questions on recording, mixing, mastering, and all the stuff that goes into that. So if you have questions about that, we can talk about that. I will also take up at least a little bit of time to talk about the Christmas Songwriting Challenge, even though it's not in scope of this show, but just to keep it on your radar. So the Songwriting Challenge is launched officially. You can be working on your song and you have free reign pretty much to do whatever you like. But we would like it, Rich and I, if you made your song kind of about what this time of year, what winter, what Christmas means to you. So it's not often we say, write a song about this or write a song about that. We don't really tend to do that. We tend to say, use these tools to write a song. So in this case, we're saying you can write your song your own way in your own style of music, whatever you want to do, whatever you're most comfortable with doing. But we would like you to write your song and make it thematically about what this time of year means to you. So basically you're writing something that's maybe a little bit more personal to you than you maybe ordinarily would. So you can do that through any mode you want. So you could create characters and tell a story, or you can make it, autobiographical, or you can make it semi-autobiographical. You can do whatever you want from the lyrical point of view. But we want to hear about how, what Christmas means to you, how this time of year has impacted your life at some point. So you can pick a time in the past, you can pick a time in the recent past. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to think childhood, you could think, adult life now, what this time of year does for you now is, so you could kind of think about that. You can use any of the modes and scales and things like that we've talked about over the last few years. So any of the scales like the Locrian natural 6 scale, Dorian mode, Dorian flat 2, all of those scales that we've talked about, you can use those to either be used in the whole of the song, just base it around one scale, or you could make one section of your song around that one particular scale. So you'll get extra points for using stuff that we've talked about. If you can get some tritonal substitutions in there as well, you'll get bonus points for those too. So using the stuff that we have taught over the last couple of years is what gets you bonus points. And creativity is king. So tell us a really, really good story and make something that is creative, that is as creative as you could possibly be, and write the best song you can, and make use of the things that we've put out there over the last couple of years, and have fun with it. So when does that all finish? So that all finishes on the 19th of December. That is the closing date for the Songwriting Challenge this year, and then we will announce the winner on the 21st, so that we can get that all out of the way before Christmas week actually starts itself. And then we will have, and so the 21st, by the way, will be the Christmas special show for 2025, and then after that we will have the Hogmanay show on the 31st at 7 p.m. Central. And feel free to bring alcohol to the Hogmanay show. I will have alcohol. I will be drinking. I may have been drinking for some considerable time before we start the show. So it could be a very, very fun time. And we will basically review 2025 from the standpoint of Studio One, Presonus products, and stuff like that. And we will also talk about what you would like to see in the future. So we can talk Studio One. We can talk hardware products that you would like to see from Presonus in 2026, or that you think we will see. Probably even better if you could predict what you think we will see in terms of new features and also new hardware products. See if you can predict what those might be. Have a think about that between now and the Hogmanay show, and you can start getting those in the chat on the Hogmanay show, 7 p.m. New Year's Eve, and I will already be in 2026 by that point, so it will be 1 a.m. for me. So yeah, have a think about those things. Get your Christmas songs underway. We don't have a lot of time. We've got 18 days basically to get those songs done and in the submissions folder. So you are going to have to get your skates on because we did launch it a little bit late this year. Apologies, that's my fault. It's not anybody else's. That's my fault. So that's on me. But should be fun this year. I'm really looking forward to it because you guys really pulled the stops out for the Halloween Songwriting Challenge. It was freaking awesome. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you pop out for the Christmas Songwriting Challenge as well. It's gonna be really, really good. Really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to 2026 and all that is gonna bring. There will be, by the way, just to kind of give you a little bit of a sneak preview, there are going to be some changes to this channel and how we do things a little bit. I'm going to change things up a little bit. Songwriting Simplified and Sunday Night Live are going to remain the same as they always have been. Those shows are not going away. They are going to remain the same at 6 p.m. Central on Sundays and Wednesdays, regardless. But I'm going to be adding some more content to this show, to this channel going forward. I am intending to make some more videos on Fender Studio. I've only done the one video. I did actually have a lot of plans to do a whole series looking at different aspects of Fender Studio and what you can do with it. And there's a new version of Fender Studio out now, which has a lot more features in it. And it's got a whole bunch more jam tracks, by the way. So if you're using Fender Studio, please update because it's version 1.1 that is out there now. So grab that. I would highly recommend it. And so yeah, I intend to do a few more videos on Fender Studio. One of the big changes that is coming is I'm changing the program that I use for video editing. For 10 years, I have used Camtasia, and Camtasia has been fantastic up until they decided to go subscription completely. So the only way you can use Camtasia now is via subscription. And I've been using a very old version of Camtasia, which I got in 2018, and I've been using it ever since. However, it doesn't work on Windows 11, which is a pain in the arse. They don't support it, and it does have some issues. I have discovered some issues because I've tried it. I tried making some videos recently, tried editing them in Camtasia. It was not a fun experience at all. So I am going to be switching away from Camtasia because I don't want to use the subscription, because I don't make really enough videos to warrant using Camtasia for video editing. So it's just not really a financially viable thing for me to upgrade to Camtasia 2025 and go subscription only. It's just not very cost effective. So I'm going to be going over to DaVinci Resolve. I've been thinking about using DaVinci Resolve for a while. I've been watching some tutorials. I've been doing some learning. I've been talking to Darren Smith, who is in the UK here, and he's a big part of the Studio One community here in the UK. So I've been talking to him. I've known Darren for nearly 10 years, and he uses DaVinci Resolve for all of his video making and swears by it. So yeah, I'm gonna get it because they have a really, really, really incredibly highly featured. It's very, very feature rich, surprisingly feature rich, free version of DaVinci Resolve. Yes, you can get the Studio that has all sorts of other, video editing features that are designed for people that are making feature films and stuff like that. So color timing and color temperature and all of that stuff. I don't need all of that stuff. So the free version is going to suit me very, very well because I only need it for reasonably basic editing. I need to just be able to cut when I need to and ripple edit, and I need to be able to get my audio to a good, reasonably loud and consistent level. And it looks like DaVinci Resolve does all of that I've been doing in Camtasia and so much more, but it does everything that I need it to do, which is the most important thing. And it's free, which is even better. So anybody got any Studio One questions? Get them in the chat. Or if you want to even, I mean, okay, I know I said, hey, save it all for the Hogmanay show, but if you do have thoughts that have just come to your mind about the future of PreSonus products and Studio One and things that you think we will see, not just things that you would like to see, but things you think we will see, which is different. So we're not just talking, hey, wishful thinking. We're talking, hey, I think these features will be in the next version. And then, of course, we'll just wait and see if your predictions are verified when new versions come out. That would be fun, wouldn't it? And also, if you are able to completely nail predicting hardware products, that would be equally amazing. So I think the whole, trying to predict what we think we will see is going to be a bit more fun than just say, what features we would like to see. If you see the difference between what I'm saying. So Brian says, Show would like to see some enhancements in Studio One that integrate with Atom SQ. It had so much potential. Well, actually, there was a bunch of features in Studio One that were developed specifically so that there was tight integration with the Atom SQ. So that kind of has already happened. Sure, I would agree that there could be more, and who knows, maybe there will be. Maybe there will be more. I have, working for Personas, I actually have very little dealing with the hardware side of the company at all. I don't know the roadmap because I don't need to know the roadmap, so I don't get to see it. And that's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind not knowing any of the hardware products that are coming down the line. So when they do come down the line, I'm just as surprised as you guys are. So when there's a new hardware product that gets released, I'm like, wow, oh yeah, this is great. Because I'm just as new to it as you guys are. Even though I work for the company, I am very, very removed from the hardware side of it, unless we're dealing specifically with software integration with that hardware product. Then I might have some more hands-on experience, but for the most part, I don't. So I don't get to see any of what the hardware guys are up to at all. Dave has a question. Okay, we'll put your question in there if you have one. But you've got to tag me correctly, otherwise I'm not likely to see it. Let's see. Will you see Gregor in Hamburg? I hope so. I need to check with Gregor and see if he's gonna be there. I did see him in the summertime. He was in the office very briefly. And I saw him last Christmas as well. But I actually saw the last time proper that I saw Gregor was down in England, actually, because there is a Fender conference that happens every year that all Europe and UK employees go to. It's mandatory attendance, so I have to go. And so all the Hamburg team come over to the UK for that, and so I get to see Gregor at those. So I saw him in the summertime twice, so I'm twice blessed, really. And Gregor is an amazing young guy. I say young because he's about 12 or so years younger than me. And he's a fantastic guy. He's hilarious. You may not see the kind of like the hilarious side of him because of, his videos are done in such a short space of time, and he has to fit a lot into each of his videos in such a short space of time. You may not actually see, kind of the really funny side of Gregor, but he's absolutely hilarious. One of the things he likes to do, I don't know whether you'll mind me saying this, but he likes to do different accents and impressions of people, and they are side-splittingly funny. Sometimes it's because he absolutely nails the accent, and sometimes it's because he just doesn't nail the accent at all in the most hilarious fashion, and it's just so good. And so we had an absolute blast in the summertime when we met. We drank lots and lots of beer, and we got into lots of accents and dialects, because I can do a lot of different accents and dialects. I can do lots of different voices, and so he and I were trading different voices and different characters. It was very, very funny. I posted Nate's podcast with Gregor in the community today. Yeah, that podcast is superb. It's really, really good. I mean, Nate's voice is like silk. It's no wonder he does a freaking podcast. That guy's voice is like chocolate. It's awesome. Nate's voice. It's really, really good. And it's great. It's a great little podcast. He's he's a really, really good interviewer. He really should be a freaking journalist, because he's so good at doing proper, well-researched, well-thought-out interviews, asking good questions, not just, asking questions that come off the top of his head. He actually plans questions and has really good ones. So, yeah, it's a brilliant podcast, well worth listening to. So if you are in the Studio One Pro Plus community, go check that out. It's also on the Persona Studio One Facebook group as well. So if you're in that group, you can go see it there as well, or listen to it, I should say, because I don't think you can see it. But you can certainly listen to it. But it's really, really good. Okay, what else do we have? Dave says, I have perhaps a misunderstanding of ability to nudge tracks as opposed to quantize to grid. Just move a track by milliseconds as opposed to snap to grid. Hope that made sense. You can do that? Yes, you can nudge a track. And here's the thing, you can nudge by milliseconds, you can nudge by whatever subdivision you have the grid set at, or you can nudge by samples as well. So if you want to nudge a track by a certain number of samples across, or a certain number of milliseconds, or time code, for example, if you're doing audio to picture and you need to move a sample so that it exactly lines up with something that's on picture, and you need to do that via time code for time frame, then you can do that as well. So yes, nudging is not the same as quantizing though. Quantizing is effectively, if you imagine taking a comb and running it through the hair that is your music, and your music may be pretty stylistic and looks pretty good, but taking the comb through the hair can tidy it up and just provide that finishing touch. So what does quantizing do? What it does is it moves audio or MIDI note data to the nearest value that you have the grid set to. So let's say you have the grid set to 16th notes. Then what quantizing is going to do is it's going to look at where the audio event starts, or where the where the transients are. In the case of audio, it looks at where the peak of the transient is. And in the case of MIDI, it's where the note on starts, and it moves it to the nearest 16th note. So sometimes it's going to move it to the nearest 16th note back, and sometimes it's going to move it to the nearest 16th note forward. This may not necessarily be what you actually desire. Quantizing doesn't know what you actually desire, so it doesn't know what is correct. What it does know is, I am moving it to what is statistically the nearest value. So if your 16th note, or your note, whatever value you played it as, is nearest to this 16th note than this one, then it's going to move it to this one. So if it's like 10% away from this one, it's going to move it to this one. If it's 45% nearest to this one, it's going to move it to this one. If it's 55% and it's therefore nearer to this one than it is to this one, it's going to move it to this one. All right, so that's how quantizing works. It's like applying a comb to the data to move things to the nearest note value or grid value that you have set. So if you want 16th note triplets, you need to set the grid to 16th note triplets and then press Q, and then it will move stuff to that nearest grid value. And it won't necessarily be correct to what you want, it'll be correct to what the notes are nearest to. So I hope you understand the difference there. So nudging, when you nudge, you are moving something. You are telling something, I want you to move that way or that way. Right? Whereas, so you're doing that manually. You're saying, I want you to nudge 1/16th note this way, 1/16th note this way. So that's the difference between nudging and quantizing. Nudging is something that you do manually. Quantizing is something you do by telling Studio One to quantize those values, basically move them automatically. Let's see. Juan says, if I'm editing a clip, just say fade the first part and the last part. Is there a key command to jump to the end of the clip? If you want to fade between two clips, for example, say you've got your audio and you've split it and you've cut out a section you don't want, and you kind of join them back together, What you want to do between those two events is put a crossfade. And so if you select those two events and you press X, that will create an automatic crossfade between the two events. So if you don't do that, what you'll end up with is a pop as the audio passes over the end of one boundary and the start of the boundary of the next audio event. And so you get these a lot if you don't do crossfading, which is why crossfading is so important, so useful. So yeah, you just select the two adjacent events and you press X on your computer keyboard and it automatically does the crossfade for you. If you're not happy with the crossfade, it's fine. You can zoom in until you can see the crossfade and then you can manually adjust it to a crossfade value you want. I'm going to sneeze in just a minute just to give you the heads up. Dwayne says, I've decided that chopping the noise between words in a live band recording of vocals is worth the effort. Cleans the sound a lot. Yeah, if you want to do it manually, go for it. RX might help you as well. Using an expander may also have the same effect. But yes, manually doing it is, I would say, definitely worth the effort. You could do a combination of all of those. Using an expander, and maybe doing some manual stuff as well, and we'll definitely have the same effect for sure. And yes, it's definitely worth the effort, kind of going in and doing it manually. Another thing you can do, actually no, you wouldn't want to do what I was about to suggest, which was strip silence. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Eric says, don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, please do hit the like button. We've got 17 people here and only 9 likes. It'd be nice if we had a few more, so please do that. It'd be very helpful, and I would love you for the whole of the rest of the year. Let's see. Dave says, seems that if I run a 64th note grid, it's close to what I want. But how can I nudge in Studio One? You can... make sure you got snap to grid on, and then you can select the event and you can go into, I think you go into the audio menu and then there's a nudge feature there, or you can go into the keyboard shortcuts and you can type in nudge and find the key command for that, and then you should be able to find which nudge left and nudge right or something like that, and you should be able to set those up as key commands, so that basically you can just select the event and just tap whatever key that is to nudge something until you're happy with it. So if you want to nudge it by the grid, or if you want to nudge it by milliseconds, then set the timeline to seconds rather than bars and beats, and then you can move things by milliseconds. Merry Christmas, batteries are dead, have some punch. I hate punch. Punch is just wrong. It's just wrong on far too many levels. I've never been a fan of punch. Whiskey, yes, used to be a big fan of whiskey, particularly very expensive, very aged single malt whiskies. Oh yes. Scotch, obviously, because I'm Scottish, so none of that Tennessee shit. Not going to mention the brand name. I call it shit. It's probably not really. It's just a different kind of whiskey. Whiskies you make in the United States are very different to what we make here in Scotland. And of course, Irish whiskies are different again. There are some actually really, really nice brands of Irish whiskey. Not going to mention them here. But yeah, there are some really, really nice, smooth Irish whiskies. And yes, you will get hammered very quickly because they are very, very strong. And especially if you mix with coffee. So yeah, if you have like a double espresso and then you put Irish whiskey on the top and then you mix it, that's a fun drink. Irish coffee. It's a fun drink. And yes, you will get hammered pretty darn quick with those. I have done that. I have done that rather a lot when I was a teenager. But not anymore. Bourbon is not the same as whiskey either. No, it's not. You're absolutely right. Bourbon's nice though. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying I don't like bourbon. Bourbon's all right actually. It's just not the same as traditional Scotch real whiskey. I'm sure all the Irish people watching are going, how can you say that? How can you say that Irish whiskey is not real? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just a patriot and I love Scotland, and so obviously Scottish things are going to be better than anything else. Williams is here. Williams Songs, you're going to have to remind me of your first name again. I apologize. I have forgotten your first name. He says, I'm re-recording some older tracks I have. I'm wondering if the stem separation gets better. I'd like better audio from it and possibly more separation. Who knows? But you know what? I do agree with you. At the moment, the stem separation, it's a new thing. And so as a new thing, much like the chord track was when we launched that in Studio One version 4, the chord track was actually pretty basic. It really couldn't do a lot. It would struggle with chords that had more than 4 notes in it. After that, it was just like, I really don't know what these chords are, so I'm just going to guess. Whereas now, the algorithm for the chord track is a lot better. It's much more accurate. And I've used it actually a fair bit. Now, I have no problem in being able to detect chords myself using my own ears, because I've been doing that for, the better part of 40 years. So I have no problem, listening to a track and going, okay, that's chord 1, chord 4, chord 5. Oh, but it goes to the flat 6 here. And there's a nice little tritonal substitution. There's a nice little flat 2, flat 2, flat 5, flat to 1. So I can do all of that by ear without any issues because I've been doing it for long enough. So my ear is actually still better than the chord track. Chord track is good. Chord track in Studio One 7 is a lot better than chord track in Studio One 4. No question. Not quite as good as Lipsham ears yet, but it's getting there. It is getting there. I'm looking forward to the future when the chord track actually is as good as me, or if not better, at chord detecting. I mean, one thing it is it's maybe a little bit faster because it can spit out a whole bunch of chords in an instant, whereas I'm listening and I'm hearing them in real time and writing them down in real time. Whereas the computer doesn't do that. The algorithm basically analyzes it very, very, very quickly offline and then spits out the chords that it thinks they are. And like I said, more often than not, the chords are correct now. So it's much more reliable. And in fact, I would say the chord track in Studio One 7, you could totally rely and depend upon it. Stem separation, on the other hand, yeah, it's a little bit basic, and in some cases it struggles with very, very complicated material. Like if you've got a really dense mix with lots of things going on, it's going to be very hard for it to separate things. So the things that it can certainly do is separate drums. It has drums down. It can separate out a bass pretty well. Keyboards, pretty well. However, it does have this habit of just lumping them all into one. So if you have like a piano, a Fender Rhodes, and a Hammond organ, they're all going to appear on the one track called keyboards. Vocals, it struggles with. It struggles to, especially if there's like lots of electric guitars. It finds it a little bit difficult to discern the difference between what is a guitar and what's a voice, especially if it's a female voice. I hope it gets better at that, and I'm fairly confident that it will, because like I said, Dave, I've just told you how to nudge. Select the event, and there in the audio menu, you can select nudge from there, or you can go into the keyboard shortcut menu, type in nudge, and you'll find the keyboard shortcuts for nudging one way or the other there. Nudging is definitely possible. You can do nudging in Studio One. You can do nudging in pretty much every DAW. So it is definitely something that one can do. Yeah, Rock is absolutely right. Rocklens 2834 says simple input equals better stem separation. Exactly. So if you've got a simple song, maybe try this with one of the early Beatles songs. For example, if you want to do stem separation on an early Beatles song, then yeah, one of the songs maybe off the Revolver record maybe is a good one to try. Bring in the stereo audio file for that song, do the stem separation. You should be able to get them separated because of the way they were panned in the original stereo master. So they tended to put things like the drums on one side and everything else on the other. So it's going to be easy for the stem separation software to separate things out like vocals, piano, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass, drums. It won't separate them all out onto 6 or 7 individual stems. It doesn't do that yet. So hopefully it will have the capability. When it says keyboards, it will separate out a piano from an electric piano part and so on and so forth. That'll be great. I'm looking forward to that day. So, just for Dave, I'm going to show you this. So this is our theme song, and here is our sleigh bell track, which I added today. So let's say we want to select this event, and I think is it in the audio menu? I have to remember where this is because I've not done this in a very, very long time. There you go, edit, nudge. And you can nudge forward and you can nudge back. You can nudge by a bar or you can nudge back a bar. So let's say we just want to nudge forward. Now, did you see that? It moved forward. How far did it move? Should we take a look? So it was here at bar 23 and it has moved forward 1/4 note. Okay. Oh, in actual fact, it hasn't moved one. Oh, yes, it has. 1, 2, 3. Yep, it has. It's moved forward from 23 beat 1 to 23 beat 2. So let's undo that. Let's do Control Z to undo that. And let's go back to edit and nudge. And see here, it is Alt plus right arrow. So if you're on a Mac, that's going to be Option right arrow. So let's try using the key command. So let's come out of that menu. Let's click there. Let's go Alt and right arrow. And that works. But notice with the Alt and right arrow, it's doing it by the grid value. See this? The grid value is set to 1/16. So Alt plus right arrow moves it a 1/16 at a time. And then if I do the other arrow, left arrow, it moves it back. See that? Now, if you want to nudge by a bar, let's go back to that edit menu and find out what that is. So Control Alt. So that's going to be Command and Option and the arrow key. Okay, so let's try that. So we're going to do Control and Alt because we're on a PC here. So let's do Control and Alt. And let's see what happened there. Select that event, Control and Alt, and across. So we're nudging by bar. Okay, so if I want to move just by one grid line, then I just hold down the Alt key or the Option key. If I want to nudge by a whole bar, then we do the Control and Alt or Command and Option. And now it's moving by a whole bar every time. All right. So that is how you nudge in Studio One. Now, if you change this quantize value, let's say we set this to eighth notes. All right. And we do the same again. So let's do Alt. It's still moving. See that? It's moving by grid lines. Okay. So let's zoom in a little bit more. See that? So that's the and of beat 1, and then we're on beat 2, and the and of beat 2, on 3, the and of beat 3, on 4, and the and of beat 4, and then we can just nudge it all the way back. Okay? But it's all to do with the quantize value. So if you are if you want the time base to be in milliseconds, for example, or samples, you set that to samples. You can't really change this quantize value, but you can use the grid values still. So if I do Alt, see, it's moving it by whatever I have the time base set to. So if I go back to bars and quantize, all right. But notice I've got two different rulers here. So if I go back to zoom to loop, you can see here that I have bars and beats at the top, but I also have seconds underneath. That's typically how I like to work, because I like to know not just how many bars there are in the piece or how many bars I am up to when working, but also how long the song is. Especially if I'm working to picture, I need to be able to know exactly where exactly where I am to the second. And in some cases by the sample. Kind of depends. So yes. I hope that this helps, Dave, if you're watching. If you're still here and still watching, I hope that helps. Secret Squirrel has just walked in the door just as we're about to finish the show. We've only got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to see what else we've got going on. In the chat. And it looks like there isn't very much going on. So Dave, I hope that answers your question about nudging. It's in the edit menu, and you can basically use Alt or Option and arrow, or Command and Option and arrow, depending upon whether you're on a Mac or a PC. And it's either left arrow or right arrow, depending upon whether you're going forwards in time or backwards in time. And it moves by the grid line. Okay? So if you have the grid line set to seconds, it'll move it by the grid line. If you have the time base set to bars and to the quantized value, it will move by that quantized value. Notice, though, that when you change the quantized value, when you change the ruler value to bars, you can also set it to specific values. So it doesn't have to be the quantized value. It can be a different value. So if you want it to be quarter notes, if you want it to be eighth notes, or if you want it to be 64th notes, you can nudge by 64th notes just by setting the time base to 64th notes, and then Alt and arrow. Okay, and that will get you moving wherever you want to move it. Have I upped my guitar stable? I still have on display at the back here, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I apologize. Names are my biggest weakness, actually. I forget names very, very easily. It's funny. Even people that I have known for a really, really, really long time, the name will just, poof, it's gone. And it takes a few seconds of digging to get the name to come to the forefront of my mind. And that's people I've known for 30, 40 years. People that I've grown up with, been to school with, been through all the stages of education with, and, talk to them regularly, meet with them regularly. Still, their name can just escape my brain. This is not an age thing. This is not kind of, hey, you've turned 50 and now this will start happening to you. No, this has been going on my whole life. My whole life, I forget names. It's ridiculous. So I apologize, Rick. And I will try to remember your names. So it would help me, please, if you could just, like, where you are using a handle that doesn't contain your name, please, like, stick your name in regularly so that I associate your name with your YouTube handle. And the more that I get that association going, the more likely it's going to stick. Rock Lens. Rock Tees. There you go. Yes, you are Rock Lens in YouTube. So you can do what Dwayne did and changed his name back to Dwayne. Which I'm very, very thankful for. Thank you for doing that, Dwayne. I appreciate that. Feel free to share how you did that so that other people can do the same if they want to. I'm not going to force it on anybody, but if you actually want to go to actually using a normal name rather than Rocklens2834, then, Dwayne maybe can help you do that. So, my guitars. I have an Ibanez AGR 70 semi-hollow body guitar. It's very, very nice. And I have a 1962 Fender Jazz Bass fretless, and then behind that I have a Squier Jazz Bass. It's actually a Precision Special because it has the jazz pickup as well as the precision pickup, but it has the jazz neck. Because I swapped out the precision neck for the jazz neck because I don't like precision necks. Never have, never will, and I've been a Fender bass player for, the better part of 40 years. I've never played any other brand. But yeah, those are the ones that are on display. But I have other basses. I don't have any other guitars though, but I do have other basses. I have a Marcus Miller signature active fretless bass, which my dad has at the moment because he's been playing some gigs playing fretless bass. So Dave, you got delayed. Okay. I will very, very, very quickly show you again because we're at 1 a.m. So I will very quickly show you. So make sure that your eyes are locked to your screen. I will show you this one more time and one more time only. So let's go back to Studio One land. So I have this event selected here. If you want to access the menu to do it, you go to Edit, Nudge. Now notice next to each of the nudge options are the keyboard shortcuts. So if you're on a Mac, Alt is going to be Option and Control, I think, is going to be Command. So swap Control and Command with Alt and Command and Option for Control and Alt. Okay, I'm not on a Mac, I'm on a PC because they're cheaper and you get more bang for the buck. So having done that, if I want to move this by this quantized value, which is set to 16ths, let's set it back to 16ths, and we'll zoom in on this event here so that we can see all the grid lines. And I'm going to select this event. We're going to hold down Alt. We're going to press the right arrow and see how it nudges it by one grid line at a time. And then if I press the left arrow, it moves it the other way. Okay? If I change the quantized value to something else, let's say eighth notes, now there's a bigger distance between there and the next grid line. So let's do Alt. And again, this time it's moved by an eighth note instead of a 16th note. So you can set the quantized value differently. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to keep the quantized value to 16th notes, because when you're quantizing, that's what the general prevailing value is, keep that there. Click on this down arrow for bars and select whatever value you need it to be. So I can select, let's say, 64th notes, just for funsies. Notice how the timeline now has a lot more grid lines. So let's do the Alt. It's actually jumping by 2 64ths here, instead of just the one. That's interesting. Ah, that's because my quantized value is what the hell? I set that to 64ths. Why did that happen? Let's set that back to quantized, and let's set this to 64ths. There we go. Now there's a lot more. I mean, there's going to be 64 grid lines before we get to the next beat. We're not going to do that. So, but that is how you make sure that you are nudging to the value that you want to nudge to. And then you can zoom appropriately so that you can see exactly which way you want to go. Okay. And then you just got to remember to change this back to your original quantized value after you've done it. Rich Cresswell says, feel free to join the after show in his lander session. I actually may well join you for a little while, actually. I've got the plumber coming early in the morning to assess the damage from our flooding. But yeah, I don't mind staying up. I really don't, actually, because I'm not working tomorrow. Woohoo! St. Andrew's Day. And St. Andrew's Day was today, which means I get a day in lieu. Which means I don't have to work tomorrow. Which makes me very happy. Okay, Dwayne says, I changed my name in the Google channel account by clicking on my picture, top right corner of page using Safari browser. Okay, yeah, and you could probably do exactly the same on any browser that you are using, and then just change the channel name. I'm not going to do that for mine, because then you guys would go, what channel is this? I don't recognize this channel. So I'm not going to change my channel name, because my channel name fits my branding. But the rest of you can do that if you want to. Old School Funker Soul is here and says, how do I resize track size window vertical? Down here. You can either select it here, or you can grab this little slider here. Or you can use keyboard shortcuts to do it. And if you want to zoom in that way, you can pull down there, or you can scroll that way as well. So I need to scoot right across this way. I'm using my mouse wheel. But I also have key commands up here. So you can do it either way that you want to do it. Personally, I would say make a macro and whack it into here. So I've got zoom set to selection, to loop. I have overview. I have toggle zoom. I have track height tiny. track height normal, track height large. So I can click on that and it makes them tiny, normal, or large. Or you can use this guy over here and toggle auto zoom. So that makes it like this until I close the mixer, until I open the mixer. But I have the mixer set to, you know, quite large. But see how if I pull the channel strips down a bit, you get the events, the tracks actually getting smaller. So if I have the mixer open, I don't like to necessarily see all of the tracks. So I would probably keep it like that with that on. But you can also set the auto zoom to vertical or horizontal. So you can use any of these options here. I like to have it set to full. But it doesn't really matter which way you do it. And then when you close the mixer, it opens these up to this size. And then when I open the mixer, it makes all the tracks really, really tiny. And then I close and it opens these up nice and large. How do I add track icon pictures? Good question. You go to this icon here, the wrench icon first, and then you go show track icons. And then let's say we want to enter something in here. You just click in there and we select percussion. And let's see if we can find some sleigh bells, if there are any, which there are not. But I'm going to put bell here. That'll do. It's not the same thing, but it'll do. And so you just click in these little areas here, and you just select which one you want. So there's another one here that's got some interesting ones. There's like this rock one. There's thumbs up, smiley faces, microphone effects, hand claps, DI box, computer, broadcast, band bus. So this would be for like an overall bus. Mix. I use this one for the mix bus. And then if you've got subs separated out, you could do that, or a video track, telephone effect, whatever you need. There's a lot here, but I'm going to keep it as bell. And then that's that. That's how you do that. All right. So we will end the show here, and, we will, we'll just end it here. And if you want to join Rich over on his Lander session after show, then click the link that he has provided, and you'll get into that with no problem. All right, folks, I will see you next Sunday. No show on Wednesday because I will be in Hamburg. So please remember that. I will put a post in community on my channel, because all YouTube channels now have a community section. I will see. There you go, Rock. You've changed your channel name. Good man. Way to go. So yes, I will put a community post on my channel so that everybody can see that. Anybody subscribed to my channel will get to see that post, because you'll get a notification saying Jonny Lipsham Studios has put out a post, and it will remind everybody that there is no show on Wednesday because I'm in Hamburg. So I will see you guys back here for Sunday Night Live next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central. And otherwise, I will see you on the Lander call. Good night, everybody.